So good afternoon, everybody. We'll jump right into it because it's 1:30. We have our deputy commissioner on, he has to jump off really quick, but we wanted to make sure that for those that didn't see the announcement yesterday, have him come on and talk a little bit about the SSES information that came out. So with that, since I know it's time sensitive, I'll turn it right over to Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, Ed, and thank you all for allowing me to come into your meeting, your regularly scheduled meeting, and give you a little bit of information. I think a lot of individuals saw a press release that came from the governor's office yesterday regarding supplemental special education services. This is a funding service that's being provided directly to families with students with disabilities, very specifically significant cognitive disabilities. So Ed, can I share my screen?
You should be able to.
You disabled screen sharing, so I won't be able to.
All right, hold on. Now you should be able to.
Yep. So are you able to see the screen?
You're good.
Okay. So let me go to the first screen. So what are they? Basically, supplemental special education services are for students that were impacted with school closures, specifically students that have significant cognitive disabilities and complex needs accessing the general curriculum. And basically, we're prioritizing our efforts around getting families that are low income to get access to these online accounts. What is it? It's an online account. It's not an exchange of money between anybody and the parents, but it's access to a credit, if you will, that's online for parents that qualify to access the funding and then tie it to special education support services for their students. And they can purchase anything from tutoring services to educationally related services such as OT, PT, BCBA or SLP services. They could also purchase goods such as textbook or curriculum, instructional materials that may be relevant. They can also purchase computer software, hardware, things of that to support their students. So this would be directly decisions of parents accessing these accounts to provide some services to their students that may have been impacted by not having access to their regular education programs in the spring. What does that mean? That means at the starting point that about $1,500 will be made available to each eligible student. If a family has more than one student, they would be eligible for more than one credit of $1,500. So a family that has two students that are qualified under this eligibility would qualify for $3,000 and so forth. Based upon this, about 20,000 students would qualify or are going to have access, close to 20,000, probably not quite that many. And these accounts would be available through 2022, the spring of 2022, for families that have qualified and received the accounts. We estimate that there are about 60,000 students or families that are eligible for these accounts. And so of that, we believe that we can get to close to 20,000 students. And then finally, the requirement outside of the disability eligibility are these students had to have been enrolled in a Texas public school in 2019-20 and must be enrolled in the Texas public school in 2020-2021, so in the current school year. So they had to have been enrolled when school closures were impacting schools, and they also have to be enrolled in the current school year. And then finally, this is high level because we're obviously still working through a process on this and working through a contract negotiation. So what does the process look like? A family will apply through a website or a mobile app. That it'll be accessible through a mobile app, and they'll provide relevant student information, student name, school district, school, unique student ID into that application for us to be able to receive information and then be able to determine whether they are eligible to receive this or not, and also to help us to be able to prioritize whether they're going to be on the prioritized list as needing the services, or whether they'll be on a waiting list, depending on volume. Once the Office of Special Populations makes these determinations, we'll provide that information back to a third-party vendor, and that third-party vendor will give the parents a yes or no on whether they qualify, and then the parent will now go to an application system in which they'll register for their online account. So if they have received a yes that they qualify, they'll go into an application system where they register themselves and they get access to their online account. And once they get access to that online account, they'll be able to start making determinations as to what kinds of services that they're purchasing, and be able to attribute those purchases within that account system. So it's very similar to what you would think of an online payment system that's accessible to many of us, except this is kind of a closed payment system in which it's only through approved vendors, approved service providers, and approved goods that this would be allowable. And with that, I know that we wanted to be able to present this to all of you in this meeting. I think Justin and Ed were going to ask that we take questions via email or through the chat, and then we would be able to answer more questions about this. As I stated, we're still working through some processes. So there's more information definitely to come. And also what we can do is we can share with you the landing site that we have for this program, in which we've put some FAQs, so that if you have further questions, the FAQs will provide those. But if you have questions that are not answered in the FAQ, by all means, please send them in our direction. I'm actually creating an email address for this as we speak, so that we can receive more questions specifically to this, and that way we can even update our FAQs on an ongoing basis. With that, I really thank everybody for allowing me to be on this meeting, and I apologize for having to jump off so quickly, but Ed and Justin and Jennifer, thank you for letting me be part of this meeting to give this initial announcement of this.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Okay, so I'll show the agenda again in a second. Matt, as Matt mentioned, he's going to stand up a separate type of email for that. Justin and I don't have answers to the questions. It's glad to see that Justin made it. I know we were having technical issues getting him in. I am copying down the questions that we've gotten both in chat and Q&A, but I know at this point Justin and I do not have answers to these questions. The one question that Justin may have the answer to is, do you know where the landing page that Matt mentioned, do you know where that is?
I don't off the top of my head, but I can look for it.
Okay, so we can try to find that out as we go through. So with that, what we can do is we can move on to, we have Lee Lenz on, who's going to talk about policy and procedure updates. I know, Lee, I could see you before, and I found the website, so I'll drop that in the chat in a second for everybody. Oh, it looks like somebody already did too, so thanks. Thanks, Griff. Okay. So we'll get that up to everybody, but Lee, are you on? She was. Okay. She was initially. Let me see if she something happened. Somehow she, all right. There you go. I don't know what happened. I just promoted her back to a panelist.
Zoom seems to have gremlins today. I don't know what the deal is.
Okay. Lee, I was able to get you set up as a back to a panelist, so you should be able to speak and have video and everything and share screen. Okay, well, while she's doing that, I'll make one announcement that was on the agenda, and I'll show it as we're waiting for Lee to get connected. So we are, okay, share. So we are moving back to, just because of how information is flowing and give people time back, we are moving back to a bi-weekly cadence. I went through and identified in this agenda the meetings through the end of the calendar year so folks can plan. But after this, we'll go every other week. And I picked the weeks to try to accommodate the fall break around Thanksgiving. I don't think any of us are going to want to talk to each other at 1:30 on Thanksgiving. And then I figured we'd go till the 17th. I don't expect many people to be going until, what would that be, the 23rd or 24th? So these will be our dates through the month. And I see Len, so I'll let her take over.
Okay. I want to share with you that operating procedures are due on October 31st, as are the assurance statements and the policies. And we've had some questions in relation to operating procedures. The policies seem to be pretty self-explanatory, but there has been some there have been some questions in relation to the operating procedures. And what those questions are is when they print out a list of the operating procedures, what they're seeing is there are 3 or 2 different choices that they have. Well, what they need to do is look to see which one they've uploaded. If they upload all of the operating procedures that begin with the hashtag, that's all they have to do. That's the only ones that they would have to do. But don't use that individual, don't use that report to choose what it is that you're going to upload. And I don't know what else Justin wants me to talk about, but I'll be happy to talk about anything.
The meaning of life, Lynn, the meaning of life. So just want to make sure that if folks have any questions about that process, because some of them were having some issues, that they have a chance to get them answered. So we appreciate you being here.
Okay. Justin, what I'm seeing is a separate operating procedure required for each eligibility category? That answers no. They can use the hashtag one, which is the new one that TEA and the group completed. Determination and read, it's still in the same one. Nancy Riley asked, so choose one, either the plain or the hashtag. That's correct. Only one. Were you speaking of uploading the documents? Yes. Comprehensive number. Yes. No, you don't have to use the TEA templates, but you do need to link to, you need to choose a name and you can link it to that.
Hey, Lynn, there's a lot of folks asking questions about the reports, and I think you might have already touched on that, but could you reiterate what we know about the report?
Sure. Excuse me. On the report is a list of what templates are available. You only have to upload one template per operating procedure. So if you use the report is confusing if it has 3 templates there and you choose the one with the hashtag. There's a hashtag one that says, like for instance, in child find, it says hashtag child find duty, hashtag child find generic, and then there's the old one. Any one of those will do, but if you're using the report is still going to tell you that there's 2 that you could have uploaded. But that's just it. That's all it is a goal.
There's a couple questions in the question and answer. So the goal is to get the report to show nothing incomplete. Is that correct?
No. That means that report will not ever be complete. What they need to do is just disregard that report unless they're understanding it. What they need to do is they need to use the first occurrences. We've got resources in there for them. It's not the same as the policies.
Okay. So do the frameworks need to be uploaded individually, or can the entire FAPE evaluation and child find areas be uploaded with all the frameworks?
Okay, say that again. Is that the first question?
It says, do the frameworks need to be uploaded individually, or can the entire FAPE, eval, and child find areas be uploaded with all the frameworks?
No, they need to be individual, because when TEA or whomever it is that goes in and is trying to read the operating procedure, they want to read the procedure for one particular framework. And so there is a FAPE composite, so they ought to be able to do it. There is an evaluation composite, and that will put all 13 disabilities in one, but use the composite ones that are there.
Does it matter which link you use for the upload? There are 3 options.
No, it does not matter.
If our process has changed during the year, can we upload a new policy or procedure at any time?
Yes.
Is there an easier way to double check that all policies and OPs are uploaded outside of checking every single framework display?
No.
So we have to do this for every district served in an SSA?
Yes.
I knew the answer to that one. I knew the answer to one. I feel special. What do you mean by not using the TEA template but linking it?
Okay, the TEA template is one of 3 options or one of 2 options, and you can use any one of the templates, and that's wonderful, but don't use all 3 of them or 2 of them. You only need to use one. The reason there's why is there 3 different windows if only one is uploaded in an area? Because we didn't want to punish those LEAs who were proactive and had already uploaded. And if we had erased those that were there that didn't have the hashtag, then that would have erased all of theirs.
So a couple of people are asking if you could share a screen and actually show what it looks like.
What do they want me to show?
So one person says, "This is my first time uploading. Could you demonstrate what you're talking about?"
No, but I can, and if they want to call me, I will walk them through, or somebody here can walk them through, and we will be happy to help.
And I would assume that each ESC probably has someone that can help with this as well. Is that accurate?
Each ESC has one or more. More likely, they have 2 or 3 people that could help.
Okay. And someone also posted that TASB has a webinar that talks you step by step on how to upload. So Lee, maybe in the chat, it would be good to drop your email in case people have questions, or they can follow up with you directly. And then
Okay.
folks can also, and then folks can also obviously outreach their own service center. Each service center, as we talked about, has folks that know this and can help you guys with what your needs are. Okay. Another question I got, which is just more generic, due to, I know that because we've had these for a while, there were questions about the agenda. What we're doing is we're sending the agenda out and we do the normal updates. So hopefully you're getting it that way through the. So now we'll move to, jumped around a little bit. Kim, I think you're on. Kim and Justin are to do some updates on TA resources.
Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So, hi everybody. All right. So just want y'all to know the TextCan has a remote learning series. Most of it's been posted. One's about to. It's coming soon. There is one on using paraprofessionals, and then one with communicating with parents. The parent one.
What TextScan is?
Oh, the Texas Complex Access Needs Network. And I'm putting right now remote series in the chat for you. Also, I put in the chat, there's TBSI, the Texas Behavior Support Initiative. That's a state level training. It meets legislative requirements. And that has been reformatted and transferred from the Region 4 website to a Canvas course that's going to be hosted by TIER, our network that's tiered interventions using evidence-based research. Just note that while the course is going to be open and active, there's still going to be some periodic updates that may affect access. The other thing I wanted to share was about the mental health teletherapy services for small and rural LEAs. That application window is November 9th through 20th, and it's for small and rural LEAs to apply to receive mental health services, set to begin services on January 4th. That application, you can get to the site, and here in a minute, I'll put it in the chat as well. But of course, it won't be open till November 9th. And then also I wanted to highlight the also Texas Can, the Complex Access Needs Network, the Lifeline Library. They're still looking, if you'll spread the word to your LEAs, they're still looking for teachers to submit ideas and activities of how they've been connecting with students and parents remotely during this time so that they can highlight these resources for teachers around the state. Our transition network also has a remote resource library that they are hosting. The webinar is tomorrow. I don't know what time, but I'll also drop that link into the chat in just a minute, and I should be able to find the date. And then lastly, in the SPED newsletter that should be coming out soon, and I'll put it in the chat, we are trying to get the technical assistance team here at the agency is trying to get feedback on our technical assistance guides. We've already produced and posted a child find guide, IEP development, and section 504. And we really are looking for feedback on did those meet your needs, and what should we produce next? What are the greatest needs that we need to produce a technical assistance guide? So that survey should take you 5 minutes or less, and we would really appreciate any feedback to help us focus our energies on the things that are most useful to you. I think that's it. Oh, I got the transition network. Thank you, Townsley. Thank you, Jam. All right, and then I'll put the survey in for the technical assistance guide survey. I'll put that in next. That's all I got.
Okay, thanks. And I know it came up in the chat too. So these dates here, the 5th and 19th of November and the 3rd and 17th of December are the meetings we'll have through the rest of the calendar year. So no, we're not having one on the 29th. We're not having one on Thanksgiving and whatever that date is in between in December. So when we send anything materials that we send after this, you know, I'll make sure we highlight that in the information too, so folks know. And anybody that for the ESC SPED directors that get the meeting request from me, I'll update it so it's correct. And with that, Justin, I know you're going to go over you're going to do some general updates.
Just a couple of things. First of all, I know everyone is, waiting with bated breath about for more information about the dyslexia platform, and unfortunately, I don't have any information about that today. We will, as soon as we get some information, though, we'll share it. I want to give a plug for the digital inclusion survey that Dominic Robinson talked about either last week or the week before. I think it was last week. Tomorrow is the last day for that. So if you haven't had a chance, or if you have some folks who would be interested or who you think would have good input, please get it out there. We'd love to have as many respondents as possible to make the data as good and solid. I just dropped the link into the chat. So the last thing I want to talk about really quickly is, let me share my screen. We've updated the FAQ that's posted on the COVID website. And we've had a couple of questions about this particular question. It really boils down to if an ARD committee decides that in the current scenario that remote instruction is necessary for a student to be provided FAPE, then the ARD committee can do that you need to figure out a way to make that happen for that child. This is in scenarios in which for instance, an LEA has decided we aren't going to do remote instruction anymore. We're bringing everybody back to campus for face-to-face instruction. This is that scenario. There might be a student for a myriad of reasons why the ARD committee could determine that for that student, there's an educational need for remote instruction in order for FAPE to be provided. So we could get into a bunch of hypotheticals about this, and we're not going to engage in that because we just don't know. But if you have real specific questions in your LEA, please reach out to us at sped@tea.texas.gov, and we'll make sure that somebody's able to help you with that. But it boils down to if the ARD committee, if the district is no longer offering virtual instruction to everyone, but the ARD committee determines that it's necessary for the provision of FAPE for an individual student, then you should find a way. You need to find a way to do that for that one student. That's pretty much all the updates we have, Ed.
Yes, sir. I'm checking. Check the chat and give it a minute for anybody that has questions in the chat or in the Q&A. So I don't know if you saw it, Justin. So someone asked for Alt-2 testing, which will be on campus. What happens with students whose parents refuse to send them in for on-campus testing?
Justin, I've got a chat to Jose. He said more information about spring testing will be coming soon from the assessment division. You're muted.
I wasn't talking yet.
I just talk really softly. Someone's asking about the link that you posted for transition. Can you dig that back out of chat and drop it in again? I see another question here. A homebound discussion. So really, the Q&A that we're posted that I was just talking about is not really a homebound discussion. If homebound is appropriate for a student, that's a different scenario. This is sort of outside of that because homebound, as you know, is pretty limiting as far as scope. Sorry, it's not the same educational experience as virtual instruction would be. So we're talking about something different here.
And then for the question about the agenda goes out over the SPED director. What do we call it? SPED director listserv, the group. I always call it the wrong thing. So. Q&A update.
Is that Q&A update in the FAQ? Yes, Debbie. It is we have updated on the 15th. We updated the FAQ that's posted on the COVID page for special education, and that's where that is.
Okay.
Asking here questions about SLPs and ARD committee again. We are going to bring that back for more discussion, but not today.
All right, so I think that covers everything. So we will talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Enjoy. Hopefully it starts to cool off. At least here, it's going to be really nice and cool Tuesday. So hopefully it stays like that for a bit
We're gonna get our 1 day of winter.
in October. So with that, thank you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks.